It's a racket, that's what it is. A penny ante Cosa Nostra.
Let me spell it out for you. You act penny ante because you think penny ante. That's the story of your life. That's the story of your life.
Anti-Afro Spengalis. Look at how close it's getting for Umar. I'm going to be addressing all of this in terms of the 501c3 status. I didn't want too much time to go by before I address this issue. I have many requests asking that I speak on this. The walls are closing in. The ceiling and the floor are caving in. There is literally a pinhole opportunity left for Umar to escape because the lies have caught up to him. Specific to the nonprofit status of the abandoned bomb shelter that Umar called FDMG, which is a non-school. It was just a straw set up to hijack money from our people under criminal pretenses.
The important announcement that I have is after 6 years of fundraising without none of my donors being able to write off their donations on their taxes, after 6 long years of standing by your brother, Dr. Umar, effective today, May the 4th of 2020, we have regained our tax-exempt status. You can now claim your FDMG donations on your tax return because we have been approved. We are now tax exempt. And we tax exempt. And we tax exempt.
Basically, Umar swung into town in Wilmington, Delaware for a P.O. box run. Also, there are multiple links below. It is imperative, if you want to keep yourself updated, you want to stay ahead of the game, check out the links that I'm referring to. It matches the details that I'm going to be giving you for this video. This is imperative too because it helps people hone their skills in terms of never taking someone's word for anything. I want you to take a look on the screen. Look what I found on the state of Delaware's Secretary of State business license search. Look carefully. It says this scam FDMG is tax exempt. I want you to just hang tight, take a look at that. I'm going to come back to this because I first need to show you other information that's going to lead back to why this is total bullshit. Take a look at what you see on the screen also here in yellow and black. This is a permanent designation. So in the future, there need not be any confusion as to what you'd be looking for, because once the IRS designates an agency with an employee identification number, and we have confirmed that Umar didn't change the name of the scam abandoned bomb shelter that he's perping as a school. So all you need to do in the future, whenever you're looking for any information at any website, Internal Revenue Service, anywhere in Delaware, Pennsylvania, this is what you need to look for. Also, Umar claimed that he didn't know that he previously had nonprofit status, although he claimed he never had it. And then he says he does have it, according to the Breakfast Club. So let's roll with this. He claims he never got notification. Take a look at Umar himself, and this is 2018 and 2019, and it's happened many times before. He came up with the scam P.O. box in Wilmington. He himself posted the P.O. box in Philadelphia. That was the original point of the scam. Now go on to the revocation documentation from the Internal Revenue Service for the scam school, FDMG bomb shelter, abandoned bomb shelter rather. What does it say? The same P.O. box. Go to the tax lien, federal tax lien. What address do you see on there? The same P.O. box. Go to the state tax lien. What address do we have on here? The P.O. box. So Umar Johnson wants you to believe that he gets all the donations through the P.O. box. This is in Philly. He gets all the documentation from Pennsylvania Regulating Board when he was perping as a psychologist. He gets those documents. But he wants you to believe he never got any documentation from the Internal Revenue Service while there was no pandemic.
FDMG was a tax-exempt organization under the IRS. But there's only one problem. The IRS never served notice that we had been approved for tax exemption. So guess what I'm saying? They sabotaged us too. They couldn't refuse the tax exemption. So they simply said, we're not going to let him know that he got the tax exemption. We find out about the tax exemption after chasing down the IRS officer responsible for FDMG's tax exempt application. We was calling them, emailing them, both me and my accountant, professional accountant, working on this with me. And then we come to find out later that the IRS withdrew FDMG's tax exemption before they even told us we had a tax exemption. So that's setup number two. So where are we right now? Right now we are in the process of applying to reinstate the tax exemption.
Those lies that Umar was spinning took place in December 2019 or January 2020, along those lines. I'm going to tell you another reason why Umar is lying. He stated that somebody was assigned to work on or address issues with this nonprofit application. That is beyond just bullshit, people. Do you know how many people each year or how many entities file for a nonprofit status? Do you know how many people are posing questions about the process? So you actually think out of the possibly 100,000 applications that they're processing each year, they have somebody uniquely assigned to address these issues? No. They primarily deal by mail. And if you're lucky to get someone on the phone, fine. But the IRS is not going to exchange emails with the average person. That, to me, is just the most outright, blatant lie that Umar has told during this whole process. Nobody has an email address to the person in the IRS that handles your application. Now, the only time you would see something like that happening if we're talking buku millions of dollars and there's a lawyer or lawyers involved. Then you see some emails going back and forth. Court, if there's a legal situation, but they do not exchange emails with people, and there is a reason for that. They never know who's on the other end of that email, and that can violate people's rights. But when you're dealing with professionals, professionals know each other. Professionals have ways of knowing who is who. But exchanging an email with the consumer, no. Not even with an accountant. You have to be talking in the multi-millions. And as we know, Umar is penny ante all the way. He doesn't rank on the scale. I want you to believe that the Internal Revenue Service, that's not even answering the phones, put him to the top of the list. You're free to believe whatever you want to believe. This is nothing but another pack of lies. In my opinion, we will soon find out for sure, making sure he can try his best to convince how many small number of people that he can to send him money. He's not even going for the gusto. He's talking about survival at this point. People, come on. How many times have you heard these lies? You probably know these lies more than Umar does. You can probably say before he finishes the sentence what lie is going to come out of his mouth. Furthermore, let's make it clear about Delaware. They have some relaxation with a lot of their laws when it comes to corporations. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty and it's time to pay the taxes, they want their taxes. And I am asserting outright they simply took Umar's word for it that he has exempt status. How much do you want to bet that Umar presented the state of Delaware, Secretary of State, and the city of Wilmington the original letter he got from the IRS designating the abandoned bomb shelter as a nonprofit entity back in 2014? I bet that's what he did. You think these people went looking on the website or called the Internal Revenue Service when nobody can get through and this is a pandemic and they just happen to say, okay, we're confirming with you, although the revocation status remains the same on the websites, that you're telling us that Umar has tax exempt status. Do you really believe that, people? Do you really believe that happened? He gave them the original letter that he got. You think he gave them the revocation letter? No. So I'm going to prove this because I'm going to be calling. I'm going to be finding out exactly what is going on. Now, let's go back to the exempt status that now appears on the website, which didn't appear there 1 month ago. It didn't appear there 2 months ago. All this simply verifies is that Umar applied for this status in November of 2019, nearly 1 whole year after he got the scam going in Wilmington. And why did he do that? Because we put the heat on him. He knew he was not going to be able to get away with these lies. So he went ahead and filed for that registration, knowing good and damn well it was all a lie. But I'm not done, people. I am so not done. Go to the links. Don't believe a damn thing I say. Check it out yourself. Here is the IRS law with respect to nonprofit status. If you get a revocation, you have 15 months to file for reinstatement, and it will be less information they're going to ask from you. You will also have to file the 990s you didn't file, which led to the revocation. For those who don't recall, the 990, and you can just Google that, is an accounting of how each and every penny was spent that you took in. I cannot emphasize this enough. I don't care what Umar says about, and again, I'm not discounting your feedback because a lot of you give me feedback about Umar says this to his supporters. I don't care about that. That's irrelevant. He can say that as long as he wants to say it. When it comes down to the law, public disclosure is for anybody who requests the information. And what is supposed to happen, if you send a nonprofit agency a request for their quote books, they are supposed to reply to you by telling you where to find it. It is illegal for them to ignore your request because the information should be readily available and accessible to anyone who requests. So you would tell the person requesting, oh, go to our website. We post our annual report there. Oh, you can Google charity searches like GuideStar. These access modes are all free. They post the 990s of nonprofit entities. It is not hard to find the information if the information exists. And those who violate the federal law with respect to failing to disclose, you can still get the information from the Internal Revenue Service. Also, I want to emphasize, you can look information up on the charity websites because they will access the 990s if they are filed. So Umar has no control, neither does anyone else that has a nonprofit status, over what information you will get from them. If they are complying with the federal law, you will also have access to that information. If they don't comply with the federal law, look what happens. The nonprofit status gets revoked. Nonprofit fraud, that's another level of intervention. So Umar cannot have it both ways. He cannot say he has a nonprofit entity, fail to give the information, fail to file the 990s, fail to comply with the law, and have no consequences. That is not the way things work. I can get the information, and you can get the information. So let me talk about what I did with this website, Secretary of State website. I tried to get the documents, but there was something glitchy about I don't know what was going on. I tried it on my desktop. I tried it on my laptop. So I'm going to call them tomorrow and tell them I tried to request the documents, the registration documents of this so-called scam abandoned bomb shelter in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm going to tell them that I had difficulty getting that. How can I access that? Now, unfortunately, Delaware is one of the few states that doesn't post this information online. Almost every state in the U.S. posts this information online. So I think it's $20 or $10 to get the info. I'll part with the 10 or 20 bucks. Umar went through a patsy organization to get the incorporation, which means he paid somebody to file the documents. There's nothing wrong with that. Not a thing. But I doubt there were black people. Like he's always screaming about the white man this and the white man that. Why didn't he pay a black lawyer to file the forms? And I will come on here and stand corrected if this agency is registered here and they're a black agency. I don't know what the name, I can't look at it right now. I'm not focusing on the screen. And if any of these documents are not clear, you can go to the websites and pull them up yourselves. Hopefully they are clear for you to see, but please, people, this is nothing but a case of a snake in the grass being discovered. No place left to hide.
A snake in the grass is a deceitful, treacherous, and sneaky person. One who pretends to be your friend while actually being your enemy in secret. Run away from here. A cold snake hides in the grass. Snake in the grass, or Satan transformed into an angel of light.
Oh, snake in the grass if there ever was one. Now, my priority task for tomorrow is contacting the Secretary of State in Delaware and the City of Wilmington, the department that handles the issue about designating a tax-exempt status with respect to the city. I'm going to make those phone calls. And, of course, I'm going to be asking the Secretary of State to assist me in accessing the incorporation documents for the abandoned bomb shelter. No less important is verifying just exactly how the city verified those documents with respect to the nonprofit status or the exempt status that appears in the website. This is information that is accessible to the public. If you're going to say you're an exempt entity, you are not exempt from disclosing. So whether it's by proxy or through whatever means, the information is duly accessible to the public. In the meantime, in order for you to keep yourself clear of the snake in the grass, you must heed the warning. Fire! Beware!